Good morning, America. I'm Andrew Meet Rich, and we need to talk about what just happened between Trump and Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The headlines today are absolutely brutal, and they tell a story that goes way deeper than diplomatic pleasantries. While the photos show smiling leaders at Chequers, the reality is that Trump just delivered a masterclass in political humiliation to our closest ally. I used to be inside one of those big media machines, watching how they'd spin these stories to protect their preferred narratives. I walked away from all that because the truth matters more than corporate comfort. Now I'm here, independent, telling you what really went down. Before we dive into this diplomatic disaster, hit that like button and subscribe if you want the unfiltered truth about global politics. And if you believe in independent journalism that doesn't bow to corporate masters, consider becoming a channel sponsor. Your support keeps this channel free from the influence that corrupted mainstream media. So, here's what happened. Trump didn't just visit Britain, he essentially told Starmer how to run his country. The main story dominating every British newspaper today, Trump's advice to deploy the military against migrant boats crossing the English Channel. Think about that for a second. The President of the United States is telling the British Prime Minister to use his army against desperate people in small boats. The Sun leads with, "Bring in troops to stop the boats," while the Daily Express goes even harder with, "Keir gets bitter truth from Donald." But here's the kicker. The Express describes how Starmer was humiliated when Trump suggested using the army. They even show Trump doing his signature backpat move on Starmer, like he's congratulating a subordinate who finally gets it. The Daily Mail really captures the power dynamic with their headline, "Trump shows PM who's boss here." That's not diplomatic language, folks. That's the language of dominance. Trump reportedly called offshore wind farms expensive junk and claimed he'd never heard of Lord Peter Mandelson when asked about Britain's former ambassador to Washington. This isn't diplomacy. This is performance politics designed to show who's really in charge. But wait, there's more. The Financial Times reports that Trump told Starmer that illegal immigration is destroying the country from within. Now, whether you agree with Trump's immigration policies or not, imagine how it feels for a British Prime Minister to be lectured about his own country's problems by a foreign leader on his own soil. Don't forget to like this video if you're seeing the bigger picture here. The Guardian tries to soften it with talk about their first deportation under the one-in, one-out scheme with France, but even they can't ignore the fundamental tension. The Times focuses on the photos of Melania Trump and Princess Catherine because apparently when the politics get too uncomfortable, we fall back on fashion comparisons. But here's what's really interesting. The Mirror talks about a sigh of relief after the state visit, admitting that the leaders disagreed on Gaza, energy policy, and migrants. Yet somehow they're calling this a diplomatic success. The Telegraph keeps hammering the military angle with "send in troops to stop boats again." This isn't normal diplomatic discourse. This is one leader publicly schooling another, and the British press is trying to figure out how to spin it as anything other than what it obviously was. Now here's where it gets really concerning. The Daily Star, of all papers, captures something crucial with their headline about Trump saying, "Putin let me down," and warning that this could all end in World War III. Every single British newspaper today mentions Putin in some context. That's not a coincidence. We're watching the reshaping of global alliances in real time. Trump is essentially telling Britain's leader how to handle immigration while simultaneously signaling his complicated relationship with Putin. And Britain? They're taking it with a smile and calling it diplomacy. The newspaper tries to put a positive spin on it, saying Downing Street considers the visit a diplomatic success and a boost for Starmer. But when your diplomatic success involves being publicly lectured about your own domestic policies, maybe it's time to reconsider what success looks like. Let me remind you what we've covered here. Trump didn't just visit Britain, he delivered a public tutorial on how Starmer should run his country, from deploying the military against migrants to dismissing British energy policy. This was dominance politics disguised as diplomacy. The British press is spinning it as success, but the headlines tell a different story about humiliation and who really holds the power. This is exactly why I left mainstream media and why independent voices matter more than ever. The establishment wants you to see diplomatic theater, but what actually happened was a power play that should concern anyone who cares about international relationships and sovereignty. If this analysis opened your eyes to what's really happening behind the diplomatic smiles, smash that like button and subscribe for more unfiltered truth. And if you want to support truly independent journalism that isn't afraid to call out power where we see it, consider becoming a channel sponsor. Your support is what makes this possible, and together we can keep shining light on the stories that matter.